That's the root of our problem. Sin says God don't love you. Sin says God's asleep. He's not there. And so Jesus gets up in the middle of that storm that is life, in the middle of that storm that is sin that kills us, and he speaks to the wind and the waves, and he says, "Be quiet, be still." And here's how he says that. All those times that you were tempted to doubt, all those times that you were tempted to fear, all those times that you were tempted to forget God and get angry and frustrated, Jesus takes his perfect peace that he had on that boat that night, where he was scared of nothing, and he transfers that perfection to your account. Jesus takes the perfect peace that he had in his heart as he underwent terrible temptations in this life, and he beats them, and he gives it to you who were not perfect, who doubted. The fact that he never doubted takes your doubts away and washes them clean. Jesus says, "Be quiet, be still." To the accusations of Satan, where Satan says, God doesn't love you, he hates you, he's asleep on you, he's not there. And Jesus takes that away by going to the cross, bearing down the full stormy blast of God's judgment, taking on the full lightning of God's anger over sin, taking it onto himself and replacing that for you with love. So that instead of living a life of panic and doubt and fear, now you know that you get to live in eternity with peace and with your Lord. Friends, I want you to think for just a moment about some of the storms that the disciples went through in their life. Yes, we have this one that we talked about today. Can you think of some other ones? Perhaps you remember the time when they rowed out onto this same lake to go catch some fish. What was their storm? Is God going to provide for us? Are we going to have enough food? And so God lets them cast the net on one side, and they pull it up, and there's nothing there. And then Jesus says, hey, cast it on the other side, and then all of a sudden they've got too much, right? Other storms that came up in their life. Their friends die. Lazarus dies, and they think, oh, we've lost our friend. What does Jesus say? Lazarus, come out. Other storms. The disciples saw people get sick. The disciples saw people possessed by demons. What did Jesus do? He healed them. He drives out the demons. But the thing is every time one of those events and more happened in the life of the disciples, what did they do? Panic, doubt, fear. Doubt Jesus, get confused, argue with each other, panic, doubt, fear. Even though Jesus rose the guy from the dead, even though he drove out the demons, even though he healed the sick, even though he made the fish come, they still feared. What was the only thing that took away their true fear? Perfect love drives out fear. The perfect love of a Savior who never sleeps on you. The perfect love of Jesus Christ who speaks into your life and says, I love you and I forgive you, takes that fear of eternity and judgment away. It did that for the disciples, and then after Pentecost, you see them preaching confidently. And it does that for us too. So that now, as we know that we are forgiven, as we know that Jesus has taken away our greatest storm and put us in a right relationship with God, now we face the storms of this life far differently. Now they are opportunities for us to walk to the back of the boat with Jesus and lay down and say, Jesus, I need to rest in you as the storm comes around me. And maybe some of the storms in your life look like this. Maybe there's that surgery that's coming up. And maybe that surgery is real, and it's terrifying, and it could go badly, and you don't know. And as real as it is, you pray to your God and say, Jesus, I need you to take care of me because this storm is so scary. Please rescue me. And he promises to be with you. Maybe you're going through a new storm in your life. We've got a whole bunch of young families in our congregation that are having children for the first time. And if you haven't figured it out yet, you will, and you probably already have. Raising a little one and thinking about how am I going to train them up in the ways of the Lord in the world that we live in, man, that's a storm. That's a storm, and you're going to think, I'm inadequate, I'm doing it wrong, I don't know what to do. And you're going to say, I'm going to remember this day that Jesus took Elijah's storm away. Jesus took his sin away. in baptism. And so no matter my faults as a parent, God is going to wash my sins away and love me and love my son. And he's going to equip me for the task and be with me along the way. Whatever your troubles are, whatever your anxiety, whatever your doubt, whatever your fear, it's an opportunity for you to say, Jesus, I rest in you. Take care of me. Friends, let's try this. As we leave church today and we go back to all those real anxieties and real fears, instead of panic, instead of hyperbole, instead of anger against loved ones and against God and doubts, instead of all that, let's say, Jesus, I trust you. Jesus, I know you took care of my greatest storm already. Thank you. Because you took care of my greatest storm, my sin, because you gave me heaven, I'm going to put into your hands confidently all the other storms that show up in my life. Trust in your Savior. He's with you all the way, and he guides you all the way to heaven.